Mike, what is your process for as a staff for making adjustments at halftime?
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you spend on it, and how detailed is that?
It's detailed. Well, those conversations start happening, throughout the first quarter and second quarter, really as the defense presents itself, and then really, if you have a 2-minute or maybe you don't have the possession, like that conversation will happen in between series, and then those will get written down by staff and already be kind of on paper as we walk into the locker room. We discuss them, make sure we're all on the same page, and then get those adjustments to the players before moving out to half.
How much is like Daniel running the ball, like almost part of the progressions? Like it seems like there's time he gets the back of his drop, and you telling him if you don't see it, just take off. Is that part?
I think he's done a good job of seeing seams and hitting them. I mean, he's converted on several big time 3rd and 4th downs for us. So that's, I think, a part of his game. He's an athletic guy, can get out of the pocket. So you definitely don't want to take that part of a game away from him.
Mike, you guys have thrown for less than 200 yards in the first 2 games, and there's a narrative maybe that Daniel has not been willing to throw the ball down the field. I mean, how do you answer that in terms of his decision making?
I think he's doing a great job with the football. I think he has 1 turnover in the red zone that I'm sure he'd like to have back, as we all would. But I think he's doing a great job with the football. I think he's managing the game. He's playing within the system. And I think those big plays that you're seeing, I think those are going to happen, right? You never want to go out there and force a whole bunch of things. That's where the bad decisions happen. That's where the turnovers happen. I think you continue to play within the system, let the system work for you and the offense work for you, and then you'll see that those things show up.
Mike, Carolina was able to limit Saquon a little bit in the first half last week. What can you do to create more opportunities through him when other teams do know that the offense runs through him?
Yeah, they did a good job with that last week. And this week, that's what we're focused on. We're focused on putting our guys in the best spot, communicating. We're emphasizing communication. We're emphasizing execution. And then when we get down into the fourth quarter, down into the game, finishing games. So,
Mike, I'm sorry, at halftime, as a play caller to that question, Saquon's got, 3 yards on 5 carries?
Yeah.
The game is close, so you don't have to go off script or anything, but is it a battle in your head? And you asked Brian a little bit about this, we got to stick with it, because sometimes, these things just fade off a cliff and the guy gets no yards.
Sure, I think it's tying in a couple of things with the adjustments, what kind of adjustments you want to make, the communication, how we're going to get that to the players, and then the execution part of it. I think that's really kind of been our emphasis this week throughout practice, is getting those 3 things worked out.
So is it kind of like, we're going to stick with the running game, but we got to change it?
I don't think it's just run or pass per se. I think you have to take advantage of what the defense is presenting and being able to be flexible with the run and pass within the scheme, right? You don't want to just call runs to call runs or call passes to call passes. You want to be able to have some be multiple in that and take advantage of what the defense is presenting.
Mike,
are
what
there
some
things
of the things that you can do to start off faster in the game?
I think what we're emphasizing is the communication part of it at the line of scrimmage, player to player, coach to player, coach to coach, the communication part of that, and then the execution part. I mean, I think we've kind of taken a step back, look within ourselves and said, all right, how can we be more clean on this scheme? How can we be more clean or detailed on these type of situations? And so that's really been our focus. And I think if we can start to build on that, I think that's what we'll start just seeing the faster start for us.
Mike, are there things that you can do as a play caller or play designer during the week to get Kenny more involved, or does Kenny have to adjust to what's being called so that he can have a bigger role?
Yeah, I think there's a mix of both. And every week we evaluate the matchups, we evaluate the defense, we evaluate our personnel and where they're at, and that's just part of our process as an offense.
Mike, earlier this week I asked Dave's about this, and it's almost the league-wide question as much as it is for you guys. 10 years ago, some of the bread and butter plays for your offense or other offenses in this league would be viewed as gimmicks or gadgets, and nowadays it's really go-to plays in certain situations. How have you seen kind of the evolution of not just the execution of those plays, but also the philosophy, knowing that you're in the red zone and these are plays that you're going to go to, and it's not going to be getting too cute?
Sure. I think that's really interesting you say that. I think defense, when you get specifically when you get into the red zone, I mean the area shrinks for you a little bit, right? So you're kind of working against the depth, and you're kind of working with more sideline to sideline things. So I think you see that around the league a little bit more, is the speed sideline to sideline versus vertical, just because you're limited with space. And so, I think when you see it around the NFL, you see a lot of teams trying to displace defenders or influence defenders in certain ways, which I think has been great to see teams across the league do interesting stuff like that and try and apply it to your offense.
Mike,
Mike,
what
I
what
was
have
looking
you?
at your bio at Northwestern, and I think you said back then, or at least wrote back then, or whatever the case was, that visualizing is a way that you prepare for games. Do you still go back to that as a play caller now? And if so, how is that?
Absolutely. You want to take those mental reps, and that's, we kind of play a game upstairs with our staff. It's a game that can put you in a situation, you're kind of calling it, and then based off whatever number you kind of roll all the dice, it puts you in a different situation, whether it's a minus yardage or plus yardage. And so you're kind of able to kind of play the mental game off the call sheet and get mental reps of it and kind of put yourself in those situations. It's been pretty fun. We've been doing it here for the last couple weeks here.
Mike,
We'll take 3 more.
what have you as a staff or you personally told Galladay he needs to do better to earn more snaps?
Say that again, sorry.
What have you done, either you or as a staff?
Yeah.
What have you told Kenny Galladay he needs to do better to earn more snaps than he got in week 2?
Yeah, we've been in good communication with Kenny. He's done everything we've asked, to be honest with you. He's done a great job, and I think looking at it as a positive, like he wants to be out there. He wants to play and contribute. And I think on a week-to-week basis, like Dave's touched on, we're evaluating those matchups. We're evaluating how to put guys in certain spots. So it might be not a lot one week, a lot more next week, and we'll kind of just go week by week and evaluate. And that's the beauty of our receiver room right now, is there's a lot of competition, and they have another opportunity today to go prove themselves, add themselves to the game plan.
Do you think is it an issue if a player isn't playing and doesn't seem to understand why he's not? Like when you say he's doing everything yes, but he's not playing.
I think that's been one big part about Dave's, is making sure that everything's out there in the open. We have meetings with players and let them know exactly where they stand at any point in time. This is starting in the spring. They have the ability to come talk to us, and I've had conversations with Kenny about that, and I feel like we're in a good place, being on the same page with that.
Would it surprise you if he got fewer than 2 snaps that he wasn't expanded this week?
We're still in a Thursday practice. We've still got a long way to go before Monday. So we'll continue to evaluate that.
Mike, Mike, do you still see him? The 2 snaps he got were red zone. He hasn't had a touchdown in 17 games with the Giants. Do you still see him as a red zone threat?
Yeah, I think anytime you put on that helmet and you're out there on the field, you have to have the ability to execute what you're called upon. And Kenny's done a great job in practice. He's working hard. He's working his tail off this week. And so I'm happy for him for that.